Hi everybody, I hope that you're doing great today. This is Miro, again speaking after a long time with a new topic concerning development of custom payment gateway in Kentico. So what I want to do today ideally is to walk you through the main areas that you should focus on or think about when developing custom payment gateway, where we can imagine payment gateway to be some kind of a connector between your website and external or maybe local payment processor. Alright, so if there are any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Better at the end of this session or presentation. There's a question box or chat window on your GoToMeeting control panel, which you can use for this purpose. Alright, so let's start. There are already several payment gateways built into the current version of Kentico, like PayPal, Authorized.net, and Customer Credit. However, these might not be the ones that you can actually use in your project for some reason. So that is why Kentico offers you an option of custom payment gateway. Of course, there is Kentico community out there continuously participating with their custom implementations on our marketplace. So you can also take advantage of the payment gateways which are out there, like eWay or PayPal Pro. I hope that, well, one day you can participate as well. We'll see how it goes, maybe after viewing this webinar. Alright, so let's take a look on the main areas related to payment gateway in general. But before doing so, here's an usual flow of what is actually happening during the purchase process on the website. So usually the buyer or the live site visitor adds some products to the shopping cart, steps through the checkout process. At some point, once he or she decides that this is really what they want, order is saved to the database. And next comes the moment where we would like to get money, of course, for the goods or stuff that we are selling. This is opportunity for us to use or take advantage of some payment gateway. Well, once the payment gateway in Kentico is initialized and we actually gathered or collected all of the necessary information from the client or from the customer, there are actually several options how to deal with the payment step. This really depends what options do I have actually with the payment provider or the processor. Usually I have two options, as you can see on this screen. So let's say the option A is the usual one for Authorized.net payment gateway, where the user is not actually redirected to payment provider but stays on our website. And what we do in here is that we actually post, let's say, the credit card information or so, and then we expect the result of the payment operation. And with this approach, user still stays on our website, and then after that we can update the payment result. The second common option is actually to redirect the user once we collect some general or common information to the payment provider. This is actually how PayPal works, the default implementation of Kentico. Then, of course, everything is done on a payment provider. So optionally, the user may be redirected back to your Kentico website, to your thank you page or so, and either immediately or after some time, the payment provider sends us the response of the payment operation. So there usually sits some payment notification page in Kentico, which is responsible for getting the response and updating the payment result in your database. Of course, the payment notification page depends on how it is implemented, but may optionally ask payment provider to confirm that actually or confirm the identity of the provider. So these are the main areas that I want to talk about today. So we'll try to discuss how to develop payment gateway class and optionally payment gateway form for collecting the information like credit card or so. Then we'll take a look on how to work with the payment result or how to update it in Kentico. What options do I have? Then we'll try to discuss the payment notification page, which might not be used in all of the cases, but it's good to know about this option. And of course, security. So I've included these question or exclamation marks in here, and you can see that these are the main areas that we should focus on when we are talking about security. And in the end, we'll try to wrap everything up, and I will show you one example of my payment gateway that I've prepared. All right, so I might be switching between the slides, but we'll stick to this scheme for rest of the presentation. All right, so first of all, payment gateway class. That's the core of our implementation. So what we need to do in Kentico is create a new class and inherit from a special class, which is called CMS Payment Gateway Provider. Once done, we have actually several options what we can do with this class. We can actually extend it as well, but I marked some parts here with the green color. So these are the most important ones for us. So what we need to do is that we need to implement our logic in process payment method. This one is actually called whenever we're trying to process the payment. So custom logic goes into this method. And then depending on which approach we choose, we might want to update the payment result directly within the gateway class or update it later from the notification page. And optionally, I can have a payment gateway form, which is loaded by get payment data form class, or where actually if I want to have that payment form, I need to override this method where I need to return my control. We'll see how to do that. All right. Of course, my payment gateway class has access to shopping cart control, so every single control that is basically part of the checkout process, plus I have access to all of the information gathered during the checkout process. So everything regarding the order, products, customer, etc. So I can work with those as well. All right. Now, the second part of our payment gateway implementation might be actually payment gateway form. It's an optional step. If we can take a look on this screenshot at the bottom of our screen here. I guess that you're already familiar with the shopping cart control or shopping cart web part in Kentico. So this control loads individual checkout steps during the checkout process. Usually the last checkout step is shopping cart payment gateway, which is the one that is responsible for loading custom or payment gateway form. So in case of we're talking, let's say, about authorized.net payment gateway, which is built in Kentico. In this case, the shopping cart payment gateway control, the last one in our shopping cart, is loading payment gateway form of the authorized.net payment gateway. So in this case, we're trying to collect information like credit card or so. In this case, if I want to have a payment form, gateway form for some reason, what I need to do is I need to inherit or I need to create a control which would inherit from a CMS payment gateway form. The only thing what I need to do is that I need to implement methods like load data, whereas within the load data I could actually initialize my controls. Within the validate data method, I can validate whether the inputted data or information is correct or not. And within the process data method, I should return the information that was submitted by the customer. The best way to store that information, like the credit card, etc., within my form is within actually shopping cart info. There is a payment gateway custom data I would say property. It's basically a hash table where I can store temporarily my credit card information, and that information then can be used in my gateway class. So within the process payment method, I can easily access the payment gateway custom data hash table. Of course, I don't want to store the credit card information in a database or somewhere else, so that's why this hash table is then cleared out when the payment is actually processed. So it's that easy. There are only 3 methods that I might or might not implement if I need this. All right. So now the question might arise at this moment, because what if I don't need actually the custom payment gateway form? What if I just need to redirect the user to external payment gateway once the order is saved or so? So in this case, this might be the really good real world example. So usually on almost the last step, where I guess that you're familiar with this step, it's called order preview, where upon clicking on the order now button in Kentico, we take all of the information from shopping cart and we save that information into database. After doing so, at the last step, payment gateway is actually loaded. So in case I don't need payment gateway form, which should appear somewhere in here, I could simply skip this step. By default, this is not possible, or it's not possible to achieve this with just simple settings or so. So that's why I come up with a solution. The solution is very easy. It's just about calling one line of code. So what we want to do is that we actually want the shopping cart payment gateway control, which is part of our shopping cart. We want to actually load it, but at some point in a life cycle of the page or of the control, let's say in a page load, we want to execute one method. So the method is called button next click action, and this method is actually available for us in any checkout step. So what am I doing with this method is that I'm actually simulating, or I'm actually programmatically trying to click on finish payment button. So by default, there is only load data method within my shopping cart payment gateway control, which is actually loading everything for me. But if I want to skip this processing, it's that easy. I'll just call a button next click action method. Before that, I can actually check whether the current payment gateway is the one that I want to work with or not. That depends on our implementation. Hope that's clear. Alright, now the next part, working with payment result. So as we've seen on this screen, or on this scheme here, we can update the payment result directly from our payment gateway, or we can update it from our payment notification page. Depends on the implementation. There might be actually some other cases, but let's talk about how to do that. So in Kentico, the payment result is stored within the order table. So there is a CMS_order table where one of those columns is called order payment result. What we are storing in this table is actually XML representation of the payment result. From an API point of view, there is an order info object which actually matches one record from CMS order table. And of course, this object has property order payment result, which obviously matches the order payment result in my database. So it's that easy. And now this object the XML structure or XML representation of the payment result is represented from API point of view with a payment result info object. And those properties of the payment result info, they represent each of these individual items. So for example, if I want to update payment date, it's that easy. I just assign date to this property, and system will automatically update item where its name equals date. By default, when you create a payment result info object, system will automatically create, or the CMS itself will automatically create this XML structure for you. But in some cases, you might want to extend. As you can see, there is a grayed out section at the bottom. This is actually my custom field. I'll show you in a minute how to do that. Now, if I wanna work with this payment result info somewhere in my classes, it's that easy because I need only to use one method, which is called load payment result XML, and it has only one input parameter where I can get the data from the database from the order payment result as an input parameter, and system will automatically pre-populate all of my properties of that object. So I guess that it is that easy to work with this object. Now, if I want to introduce a custom item within my payment result, I can do that with actually sub object of, or child object of payment result info, which is called payment result item info. So payment result item info represents one item from my payment result, and those properties for that object are name, header, value, and text. As we can see in here, I have all of those in here. So name, header, value, and text. So whenever I would like to add a new item within my payment result, I would just use payment result item info. And there is one method called ensure payment result item info, where upon inserting or providing the method with my name and header, it will automatically create this item for me, and then I can just update those values. Usually the text should contain some text representation of the value. So let's say that if my value equals 1, I'm working with the value in code, in API. I want to have some text for it, which would say verified or something like that, because that's what is actually displayed in the user interface. So whenever you're looking at the order in Kentico, you wanna see some kind of a user-friendly message somewhere, not actually the value, which is 1, because it doesn't make sense for the editor in CMS desk. So that's why we want to have value and text. We might as well have a name and header for that. All right. Now there is one other thing that I wanted to talk about regarding the order. Within the newest version of the current version 6.0, we introduced a new column called order is paid. That's a part of the order table. It wasn't there before in previous versions, and now we can easily work with it. If I have order info object representing one of the items from my order table, I can easily access order is paid property and can change it at any time. So why do we need this option here? Well, in 6.0 we introduced new types of products like memberships, etc., and that's why upon changing this option, membership or role can be assigned to user. So that's actually something that we needed to introduce. But from a performance point of view, this is also good to have in the system. I know that you might start thinking that there is a duplicate information because the order or the payment result might also contain information like is completed, is paid, etc. But Previously, if we needed actually to get that information, we needed to get the XML representation, parse it to the object, and then work with the object. So from performance point of view, just checking one column within my order table is way faster. All right, now let's talk about the payment notification. So again, what we want to do within the payment notification page is actually get the result from the payment provider and then update the order information or update the result of the payment operation. So let's take a look on what we would like to do in here. So first of all, we need to decide whether the payment notification page would be physical page on a file system or virtual page somewhere stored in a content tree. From my point of view, it would be better to have a physical page because anyway the payment notification page is not suitable for displaying anything or displaying something, I would say, because the payment provider is just sending some data to it. So from my point of view, I would use just a physical page on a file system. And usual location for these payment notification pages is outlined here. There sits also payment notification page for PayPal, the default PayPal gateway in Kentico. And of course, what we need to do is that we need to ensure that the payment notification page is accessible by public user, because otherwise the system won't be able to execute the code that sits in our payment notification page. Now, based on what we receive, the information, we might want to compare the data received with the data that we have within our order table, or we might want to compare some secret information. So in Kentico we can store, that depends on payment gateway, of course, but let's say the payment gateway supports some kind of a secret information, so we can store the secret in Kentico and compare it then with the information that we received by the payment provider. So it's always good to compare everything, like the most important parts are price, currency, some kind of a secret, etc. Some payment gateways, they support confirmation option. So once they send the information to a payment notification page, we can as well confirm their identity or confirm the transaction ID. That also depends on an implementation of that payment gateway. A good idea is actually to log any exception, error, or just any suspicious behavior into event log within our payment notification page. It might help us to track down some issues or just to debug what's actually happening behind the scene. And then of course we want to take advantage of payment result implementation in Kentico and update the order. Upon doing so, of course, confirmation emails are sent automatically from the system if they are enabled. So what we want to do within the payment notification page is to get instance of our payment gateway provider, the one that we actually created. And now the only two things that I need to actually populate are order ID. I can get the order ID usually from the response from the payment provider, and I need to come up with new payment result. That payment result can be populated from that information I'm actually receiving from payment provider. And once I have these two values assigned, it's that easy. I'm just going to call update order payment result, and that method ensures based on the order ID that correct order will be updated with my payment result, and of course confirmation emails could be sent out based on my settings. So here's a code example, but we'll take a look on the real world example. in a minute. Alright, and almost the last part here is security. So let's take a look on the scheme once more. Where are the areas that we should focus on regarding security? So first of all, let's consider authorized.NET Payment Gateway in this case. User might be submitting some sensitive information like credit card, etc. on our pages. So it's always good if there is some submission going on with sensitive information, it's always good to use SSL or HTTPS protocol for our shopping cart page so that the data is not actually exposed to any attacker. Then the second security gap that there could be or there should be, is actually when we are sending the data to payment provider, because we might send some sensitive information. Depends on the implementation again of the payment provider. It's not good idea to send some sensitive information as part of the URL when we are redirecting user to payment provider. So don't do that, and of course a better approach would be to use a post option, so we're going to post the data, and of course with combination with the protocol HTTPS. That would be actually the best way. So don't try to send any sensitive information as part of your URL when you're using the other option, the redirect option. Now, you would be surprised by the fact that how many clients were asking me where would be the best place, or where would be the best storage option to keep credit card information. Don't do that. Don't store any credit card information or some sensitive information in your database. That would be one recommendation. And the other one is actually on the receiving end in here on when we are using payment notification page. So as I explained previously, when we receive the result of the payment operation, we are not sure whether that information comes from payment provider or from some attacker in this case. So what are the options that I can use in here? As I explained, we might store some secret information in our database and compare it to payment provider secret information. If such information is sent out as part of the result, it might be sent as a hash or something like that. There are many approaches how to actually identify whether it was that payment provider that we expect the result from. So I would recommend you to use any security options that the payment provider offers you, just to prevent any security issues. Alright, so that would be about it. So again, don't save anything or any sensitive information in Kentico, and let's use all of the security features that are out there provided by the payment gateway. Now, real world example. I choose the WorldPay payment gateway. I'm not quite sure if you're familiar with this, but let's use this one as an example. So here are the list. Here are some or list of things that we wanna go through. So first of all, when developing payment gateway, we need to actually understand how that payment gateway works. So that's why usually all of those out there, they have a fully or they have a documentation available. So first of all, we need to get familiar with the payment gateway. Once we understand what to do and what are the options that are supported by that payment gateway, we might want to go ahead and actually develop payment gateway class, form, or payment notification page if necessary. There are examples within our documentation on how to do that, but I'll show you my example. Now, usually the documentation is talking about creating a new DLL file, new assembly, basically new project. But instead of doing so, I would recommend you to use the option that is in Kentico CMS 6.0, and that is actually providing our classes from app code folder, because sometimes you might want to apply hotfix to your Kentico, or late in the future maybe you're gonna be upgrading the website, and in this case you would need to rebuild your DLL files with references to new Kentico DLL files, and instead of doing so, we might simply want to use or take advantage of the option where we can store our class within app code. Alright, I'll give you an example as well. And then previously, a lot of our clients and customers were storing information related to payment gateway in web config file, because we didn't actually have an option to define custom settings. So from version 6.0 there is an option to define custom settings in the development section, so you can take advantage of this option and then let easily your editors or administrators change those settings instead of storing them in a web config file, because web config file is usually shared with all of those websites that are running in your instance of or installation of Kentico, and when using custom settings you can easily assign different settings to different websites. And almost the last step would be to register the payment gateway in Kentico, and of course we need to assign it to some shipping option, so that's during the checkout process we can actually select shipping option that we want to use all together with the payment option. And of course, once we are done with all of these steps, we need to test the payment gateway and also think about the security. Alright, so let's take a look on how to do that. So within my solution, within the app code folder, I've prepared an example. Don't worry, I will provide you with all of these code examples, so you don't need to make notes at this moment. Alright, so within the CMS modules, obviously under the e-commerce section, I've created a folder called World Pay, and here I keep all of my files. So let's start with the provider itself. As I explained, this class, hope that you can see it, right? So this class needs to inherit from a special Kentico class, CMS Payment Gateway Provider. And my job as a developer is actually to implement a method called process payment, and within the process payment method I need to implement my custom logic. Before going into details in here, just want to let you know that WorldPay, Payment Gateway, works almost the same way as a PayPal. So user can be redirected to payment provider where everything is done, and then result of the payment operation is actually sent to the payment page. Of course, they support the other approach as well, so posting data and returning a result, but in this case I choose the redirect, which is not the best option, but I wanted to show you the option how we can work with the payment notification page. Alright, so within the process payment method, all I need to do is actually gather the data from the checkout steps, and then redirect the user to payment provider. So all I need to do is actually, let's say, create some hash table of my parameters, and once I have those parameters, here is a custom method called initialize payment request, and within that method I'm actually going through let's say, shopping cart object, my settings, and basically I'm trying to gather all of the information that the payment gateway requires. So as you can see, based on my settings, based on code names of my settings, I can get that information from Kentico database. I can access the shopping cart info object, its currency code, etc. So first of all, I need to gather all of that information. Once I have that information, I can redirect the user to a specific URL. The best way to do that from actually class would be to insert the JavaScript to the page, and within Kentico we have the JavaScript. Within the script helper there is a method called get redirect script, where the only thing I need to do is provide that method with the URL and parameters for that URL. So all of that information would be sent out as a part of my URL. So once the process payment method is called, I'm just creating URL with those parameters and injecting script or JavaScript to my page, which will redirect user to payment provider. But before doing so, one important thing here is to actually clean up your shopping cart. In some cases you don't want to do that, but in most cases after you get the information you need and before redirecting or before posting, it's always a good idea to clean up your shopping cart. So there is a method for that called clean up shopping cart, which is part of the shopping cart control. Alright, what else do I need? As I explained previously, we needed to implement a process payment method and optionally get payment data form. So within the get payment data form method, all I need to do is actually return my payment gateway form if there is some. If not, I can just return empty value or null. In this case, I have some payment form. I'm not gathering any information, but just I wanted to give you an idea on how it looks like. So let's find it in my solution. So it's within the CMS modules, e-commerce controls, payment gateway, and here I have a payment gateway form. If I open it, this one contains just a label, and within the code behind, as we explained, I need to inherit from a special class called CMS payment gateway form. And once done, I can implement methods like load data, validate data, and process data. These are actually optional. In my case, I don't need them because I'm not trying to get any information from the client. But if you're interested, within the same location, there is an authorize.net form, which is used by authorize.net payment gateway, and this form actually contains that logic I was talking about. So gathering credit card number, credit card information. So in this case, it makes sense to implement these methods. So those methods, if I take a look on them, are process data, load data, and validate data. Within validate, I'm just checking whether the user submitted the information or not. Within the load data, I might initialize the control. And the most important part here is the method called process data, where, as I explained, I am populating one hash table called payment gateway custom data. I can store anything within this hash table. It's part of my shopping cart info object. So in this case, I'm storing a credit card number, CCV, and credit card expiration. But I can store any kind of information within here. And then the payment gateway provider can easily access the data. So let's say within the process payment, I can access the data very easily. All right. So I guess this would be about the payment gateway itself. Let's go back there once again. So the most important methods again: process payment and get payment data form. Now, let's take a look on those settings that I was pointing you to. So if we go to CMS Site Manager, then within the development or in development section, there is custom settings. I don't know if you're aware of this, but it's a new functionality in 6.0. So here I can define my new category or my group of settings, and then based on code names of them, I can easily access that information from code. So from user point of view, if they go to settings, custom settings, and WorldPay, they can use those settings that I've created. Obviously, it's up to you what kind of settings you would like to have. That depends also on the implementation of the payment gateway. Alright, now the other part of the CMS desk or of the CMS, since we're here, is to actually register the payment gateway. So within the e-commerce section, if I go to configuration, in here on the left hand side I have a payment methods, and here what I've done is that I registered my payment gateway. So if I take a look on those settings, the important part is a payment gateway URL. So that's the URL where the data is actually posted or where the user is redirected. And then two properties here which are important are gateway assembly name and gateway class name. In case I'm providing the class from app code, the assembly name would be app_code, and class name can be anything. It does not need to match class name of my provider, because what I'm doing in a code is that I'm having a loader. So my loader class is using CMS module loader partial class, where within the init method I'm hooking up custom code to class helper and onGet custom class. This is necessary because all I need to do is to make sure that whenever Kentico is looking for that payment gateway or the class, basically, it will jump into this file, and it will jump into the get custom class method, where based on my name that I supplied within the user interface, which is WorldPay provider, I can return my physical class from a file system. You can get more information about this implementation from our documentation, and I also mentioned that one in the presentation. So at this point, I've covered pretty much a payment provider and the loader, which is responsible for loading the class. Now, let's take a look on the payment notification page itself. So where did I store it? So within the CMS modules, e-commerce, CMS pages. Yeah, okay, it is here. Now, usually the design of it is just a standard ASPX page because we're not actually displaying anything. And if we take a look into the code behind of it, so all I'm doing in here is that basically anywhere I choose a page load method, here I'm gathering the information that I've received. So from the request, I'm gathering all of the information that payment gateway is sending to me. Now, first thing that I should, I hope that you can see it. First thing that I should check is whether such order exists in Kentico. So based on the order ID that I've received from a payment provider, usually they should provide us with such information. I can check whether such order exists or not. If so, then what I would like to do in here is to get instance of my provider. So here I have a WorldPay provider. Once I have that instance, as I explained, I need to populate the order ID property. So that was in here, because at the end my ultimate goal is to call update order payment result. So I need to populate order ID and create the payment result. Okay, so I populated that one. Now I need to create the payment result, but in this case I'm not using the standard payment result info class, Kentico one, as I explained. I actually extended this class. So why did I do that? Well, I wanted to show you actually how to add a new property to my payment result info, and within the property I'm working with the API that I've outlined before. But let's go into my payment result info, which should represent the result. So what am I doing here is that simply I'm using Kentico class, payment result info, that's the base class, and the only thing what I needed to do in here is that I wanted to have my custom property called world pay payment verified. In my case, it's a bool, so this tells me whether the payment was verified or verification failed. In this property, I am using payment result item info. So the payment result item info, as I explained, is one item within the XML representation of the payment result. So in this case, I've introduced an item called verified, and hopefully that you can see at the bottom of the screen. This is also shown within my user interface. So the system automatically shows everything. So within the world pay payment verified property, I'm using that item and using the ensure payment result item info, where based on a name and header, I can then work with its text and value. So that's what you've pretty much seen. Within the value, I'm using 1 or 0 to verify that, or to make sure that the order is paid or not. All right, so let's go back to where we were. Now, within the payment notification page, where I'm trying to create that info, if I create object of it, the system will automatically create the XML structure for me. So at this point, the XML structure is created, and I can populate individual fields, individual items, or basically those properties with my values. So for example, I'm working with a property called payment is completed. So that's one of the properties of payment result info, which I actually extended, but I can still use its base properties. And now at this point, once I have the payment, sorry for that, once I have the payment result, before actually updating the order, I might want to check whether the information provided is correct. So I've created a custom method for that, which is called compare payment data to order data, and I'm passing request form. So basically every information that was submitted to my payment notification page, and the important things to check basically within your custom method or any other method is some kind of a secret information. So as I was talking about, payment gateway is sending some kind of a secret information which I want to confirm with my own one. Then I want to compare the total price, whether it matches the total price from database. I might want to compare the currency and many other information. And in this case, one other information which is specific to my payment gateway is merchant's account ID, or something like that, which I can again get from settings easily with one line of code and then compare those. So before, let me go back. So we are still within the payment notification page. Before I actually go ahead and update the order payment result with the method that I've outlined or mentioned, I might want to compare the data, whether the data matches, and also if the payment payment gateway supports some kind of a confirmation mechanism as PayPal supports. I might want to confirm the transaction ID or something else based, of course, on the implementation. All right, so let's try this approach. So let me log out from the system, and let's go and purchase some of the products in here. So I'm gonna add, let's say, this laptop to my shopping cart. I'm gonna step throughout the checkout process as, let's say, an existing user. And here I'm selecting my payment gateway, where, as I explained, when I hit Order Now button, the order is going to be saved in database, and next the payment gateway form would be loaded. So now, upon pressing the Order Now button, order is saved into database, and now my payment gateway form, which contains just the label, as you remember, is showing here. So as you can see, at this point, it doesn't make sense to me to display some information where I'm not gathering any additional information. So with my customization that I explained during the presentation, you can easily skip this step. So let's go ahead and click on a finish payment, upon which basically my process payment method should be called. So that was the one within the CMS modules e-commerce WorldPay. So upon hitting the finish order or finish payment, my process payment method is called, where I get again information from the shopping cart, clear it, and redirect the user to payment provider. So let's do that. So at this moment, JavaScript was injected to the page, and I was redirected to URL that was part of my settings with some query string parameters containing the information like total price, etc., which I would like to pay. Okay, so in this case, I can step through the purchase process on their pages, but since my website is running on my local machine, the payment provider is not able actually to send me any information back, because I need to run my website on the internet, because the payment provider needs to see my payment notification page. So even though if I would step through the payment process, it's basically in a test mode, I wouldn't be able to see the result of the payment operation. So that's why what I can do is that I can create some testing web part control or so, which would actually support such functionality of posting the data to some URL. So let's go back to my website, and we want to check whether the order was created. As you can see, the order was created, and if I check the detail of the order and go to billing section, here I can see that the payment result is non-active, or there is no payment result, and the order is not paid. So now I've created or I developed a simple web part, which basically, so if I go to my post page in here, here sits a simple web part where upon filling this information, I can basically simulate the payment provider and submit the data to my payment notification page. All I need to know is some information or some secret information. So in this case, I need the order ID, which would be 10. Transaction status, in case of WorldPay, they're using C or Y, I guess. Y would mean that it's successful. Callback password, I've left this empty in my settings, so that's fine to leave it empty. Order price, so the order price would be this one. currency code is USD, and account ID, I didn't set up this one. So let's post the data to my page, and let's go back to CMS desk to see whether the information was updated. As you can see, if I go to detail of my order, and if I go to billing section, the payment result was updated. These sections, or this section in here, that's basically the part of the system that is out there. So the part of the XML result that needs to be there, and Kentico implemented that. And I have one extra field which is called verified. So here I have my extra information. And of course, once I set my payment result to completed, the system automatically updated the order is paid column or field with information. And of course, my payment status was changed. At this moment, payment notification emails were also sent out. So I hope that I didn't forget anything. Now, if there are any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. I'll be actually glad to answer all of them. And I hope that this gives you some value, or that at least you learn something, or at least I pointed you in the right direction, what to focus on, or what are the main areas that you need to think about when developing custom payment gateway.